What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye and Eric Sheetaber. We're going to be talking about the 4-game baseball slate. We'll then talk about some showdown and everything. But I was fortunate enough to chop the big showdown last night and the night slate. Really happy to get back on track with it. It was a wild one. And I let SaberSim do all the things for me. I made one decision, and it happened to be in that lineup out of the 20 I played, which I thought was just totally fluky. I had Solano, no matter what, SaberSim was giving me Solano, but leaving the extra few thousand on the table. And I just thought that Higashioka might be a little bit lower owned and has more power upside. So I just happened to make one switch in that one lineup. And that ended up being good enough. It feels kind of like, it's awesome to win. It feels great. But at the same time, I'm so used to putting all this work and trying to get all these things right and get at this whole slate, 15 games, and I like that. I'm happy just to let this run out now. And this was awesome. Yeah. And shout out to SaberSim for I'm still trying to get used to the new one. But
don't forget one of my old freaking heroes, the Hayago.
That's who did it. That's who was there. That's who did it for me. The 1v1 swap for I had the extra money and Solano to Higashioka, and that was what did it. And I didn't quite have a chance to take down the perfect game, which was the biggest one I played because I was too late for the 555. But I ended up finishing fourth in that one, and it was a good little run there too. So hey, a great start to October, a good start to the baseball.
And I have to say, what a crying shame for the Astros to lose at home like that.
I love to see it.
Felt so bad for them, and then it looked like they were going to come back in the ninth and have it taken away from them at the very end. That's a shame.
My heart really bleeds out for them.
Yeah, and the Mets overcoming all obstacles, flying out 5,000 miles on no rest.
Just crushing it.
Getting to Peralta, Jesse Winker just freaking turning on one. Getting them back in the game. So we're off to it. Listen, we're off to a good start. Then we got Yankees, Dodgers are waiting.
Yep.
And excuse me, Kansas City made a freaking risky move, taking freaking Reagans out. And that somehow worked. So we shall see.
Yep, and it's funny because it's these series where they're at is going to be a big deciding factor, at least for me, and how I approach today with pitching, because we saw it last night. Basically, there's not really room for error for anybody when you're playing 2 out of 3. But when you're up 1-0, you have a much better chance of your pitcher not getting pulled after 1 inning, which could legitimately happen to any of the teams down 1-0. Right. I think it's less likely to happen to the teams up 1-0 because if you're giving up 3 runs in the first, maybe they let them work out of it. And as we saw last night, they weren't going to. Peralta finally started cruising, and they yanked him right away, and it turned out to be a huge mistake. But I think today the theme for me, pitching wise anyway, is going to be, hey, let's play the teams that are up 1-0 rather than the teams that are down 1-0.
So it's 2 out of 3, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. That's a shame.
So hopefully the Royals just need one more, man.
Oh, that would be awful if the Tigers won and the Astros fans would complain about the structure of the playoffs. That would be.
I'm dying for it. I'm begging.
That would be a shame.
I'm begging for that. I don't think they ever played in the wild card series because they always were the first or second best team in the American League all the years. So they don't know nothing about this stuff. But yeah, good night, Sheets. How was everything for you? I didn't check it.
I didn't do so hot, but whatever. I'm more than happy to have you win if you want to.
No, I appreciate that, man. And I'm going full, not like in a crazy way, just like 20 lineups and all the showdown things. We're gonna play all the showdowns. We're gonna play the main slate, and we're gonna try to get after it.
Okay, so it looks as though, listen, with the Astros with the must-win game, you have Hunter Brown going. He's going to be probably the most popular pitcher. At 8,300. I have him suggested at 45% ownership. I guess that makes a lot of sense. And then I guess the next highest owned is going to be, I'm looking at Musgrove, I suppose, at 38%. Every pitcher is cheap,
Right.
Well, they're cheap unless they, like you said, unless they pitch 4 innings, and then they're not so cheap. But play whichever one of these guys you want. Any of the pitchers you want. And then to me, it looks like a little bit of a drop to all these other guys. So you want to play Montas, Minaya, Fried, and then I'm just looking at ownership. Then I have a little bit of a drop after that to Eflin and Lugo, as far as the ownership goes. Well, what do you like pitching wise? I guess that's the best way.
So I'm this is where I'm talking a little bit about. This is what I got on my first runs, and I'm going to rerun everything before. But I actually other than Hunter Brown, I do think playing the teams up 1-0 make more sense just because the pitchers have more of a leash. Like if Montas gets in trouble in the first inning, he's out. He's not going to come in to pitch at all. He's not going to come back. Yeah. At least that's my guess based on how Milwaukee handles things in general. So because of that, I like the idea. I think Brown is the one I'm sort of willing to make an exception for because I feel like his ceiling is higher. But a guy who I don't usually have, we have these like expected pitches per game. I think you could easily knock off like 10 pitches for all the teams down 1-0. I just think it's very unlikely for them to unless they're literally cruising and don't give up more than a hit, they're not going to be in there very long because this is a must win. You're playing 2 out of 3. So I like Brown and Musgrove. Brown is the one I'm willing to make the exception for. I want to end up with more Manaea. The problem is I really don't like the Reese Olson play that much, which means that initially I didn't get much Lugo. But I think that getting to Lugo with them up 1-0, just in case he puts in one of those performances, I'm probably going to end up mostly on Brown, Musgrove, Lugo, Fried, and Manaea. And then I'm probably not going to have very much of Montas and Reese Olson or Eflin at all. Eflin, I would take a stab here, but literally he's got to be almost perfect for them to let him to go, in my opinion. That's where I'm at a little bit. But I'm going to rerun things and make sure I get to more of the.
How much pinch hitting was there yesterday?
Lots.
Well, there was lots. Okay.
Yeah. But it was, let's see. I don't know exactly how much, like depending which game, like Milwaukee had at least 3 or 4. Houston had a couple, I believe. KC had a couple. There was lots in certain spots. And then Detroit had like 4 guys substituted out. And it'll happen again with Detroit. If the Astros were to bring in a lefty, they don't have that many great lefties. They got one good one in the bullpen. So guys like Kerry Carpenter didn't start yesterday, and now he's batting second. But he'll be out if the lefty comes in. Parker Meadows batted 7th against the lefty. He could be out if the lefty comes in. Obviously, McKinstry will be out if the lefty comes in. Possibly Sweeney could be out, but Sweeney's a little more likely to stick around. So there's a lot of them in each game that sort of have led me to go, again, you don't have to do this. Everybody's got a different way of doing it. I specifically went out of my way to get less 5-man stacks today. I'm doing the 4-2-2, 4-3-1 a lot more. I'm doing some 3-3-2s and just trying to pick out the bats that I want the most. Bobby Witt. I like getting to at least, I like the Baltimore guys where I'm not playing Lugo. But really Bobby Witt, Marcelo Ozuna, Fernando Tatis I wanted to try to get way over the field on them. So I've got them all probably going to have around 70% of each.
And I have to say also, I know it's red boarding and like saying you could have, should have, whatever. But one of the things that's always kind of, I guess, charming, I guess, is the best way I can describe it about baseball compared to other sports is that you can't like clear out for your best player, like when you need him,
Mm-hmm.
Like basketball, you need Jordan, you're down one, whatever. Baseball, you're a prisoner of the lineup. Whatever's coming up. That's why you have like weird guys like as huge heroes and like World Series and stuff like that. But then I know it's easy to say now, but you got a guy runner scoring position. You got Bobby Wood up there. Why are you giving him anything to freaking hit in a series, in a 3-game freaking series? The guy's like the best player on the freaking field. You just. Listen, I don't know what could have happened, would have happened, but I was watching it and I'm like, you just can't let that guy beat you. Right. You know what I mean? Like open first base. I mean, Jesus, I don't know. It's I know maybe the analytics say you're supposed to pitch to him, whatever, but it seems freaking crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I hear you. I wonder that stuff myself sometimes. I guess it's the fear of opening up a big inning, but like when you're in a tight game, why are you doing
one run? Because you know how it goes. They got Reagan's and the kitchen sink behind. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to come back from one run down in playoff baseball. It's just hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's we saw other than the one game, I think we had all unders, right? We had the one game that went over. Everything else was well under. Not even close.
Did the Padres end up going over or no? Oh, no. Because Michael King was the best pitcher in the United States.
Yeah, which obviously helped yesterday because that was my strongest take of pitching, I guess. But
and I think for Fernando Tatis, is he hit the only home run in the playoffs?
Yesterday he did hit the only home. No, Higashioka too.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but
I don't get any home runs like in the whole day, or whatever, 2 days.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's going to be. I'm telling you, these games they're low totals for a reason because you're going to get everybody's best possible situational reliever for a million different things. It's funny because I feel like Fried's a guy who we just love. We know he can always go really deep, but like he's another one. If he gets in trouble with a right-handed dominant lineup like them, the A's have a bunch of guys. I'm sorry, the Braves have a bunch of guys they can use in relief, which they did very effectively last night, actually. And I just don't see why if they got down 3-0 early, why wouldn't they just say, okay, you know what, you had your chance, we're going to move on. So it's just a little nerve-wracking to play some of these plays because we saw it last night with Peralta. And that was game one. I mean, Peralta had a bad inning and then was literally like just cruising, and they pulled him after 68 pitches, with the lead, and obviously that would never happen in a regular season game.
I'd like to think, by the way, that these pitchers that are up 1-0, I think they might have some decent upside because, listen, the team that's down 1-0, I mean, they're kind of playing scared. You know what I mean? Like they're not, they can't like sit on too much, So I think they might be flailing a little bit, I don't know. So maybe like who's up 1-0? So Manaya's up 1-0.
Yep.
Lugo's up 1-0. But I fear the Baltimore hitting, but more than the Milwaukee hitting. I think I kind of like Manaea here, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting sample size because there's not always huge history, but pretty much every one of these pitchers, except for Hunter Brown, has basically been beaten up by the other team. Oh, and Max Fried. Just kind of wild and, whatever. Just want to throw it out there. But I see the upside for the Orioles for sure. I just want to keep reminding people Lugo has flashed to a monster ceiling and wouldn't be the least bit surprising if he was the best pitcher on the slate. And I mean, it's crazy. You have Baltimore who won all these games this year, and their lineup looks completely different than yesterday. I know it's different going against a lefty, but like it's literally like you have 4 different players and 3 different players, and the lineup just the actual stacking of the lineup is just all over the map. Anyway, so it's an interesting thing to think about. I really hope that the Tigers close it out, but I'm still going to end up with Hunter Brown the most. And people are asking about best stacks. It's a tough one for me because I didn't have to go fully stacking as much as I would. As much as I like Musgrove and the upside, I think the Braves are my favorite if I had to pick one stack. I don't think that's anything revolutionary, but then I look at the ownership of the Braves, and you're talking about Marcell Ozuna at 9%, Albies at 7%. Seems a little disrespectful to the Braves. So I kind of like the Braves as my favorite stack based on them being contrarian, basically all the things. And I think Houston, even with the bullpen game, would probably be my second favorite, but they are going to be the more popular one. Do you have a take on that one? Stacks?
Yeah. I imagine the Astros are just the best play, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the highest owned, but for all the reasons I'm rooting against them, you know what I mean? It's I think it's a particularly tough spot for Detroit. So I do think that Houston is probably the best play. You think they're going to be that popular, really?
I mean, I think they're going to be the most popular. I mean, just based on the projections, but like, I think it's going to be them and then KC and
KC. Yeah, I guess so, huh?
Yeah, I personally would go. I think I would go Houston above KC. I'm sorry, Houston.
How about right back with the freaking Mets?
Yeah, I have no issue with that. I don't even understand why I actually thought they would be favored in this game, to be honest.
Well, they always adjust for the must-win thing,
right? But like Montas, like this is a guy who not long ago we were stacking against, and he has no leash. Milwaukee's bullpen is very good, but as the Mets proved last night, maybe it's not very good against them. They just dismantled them. So I like the Mets. I think that's sort of how I have it ranked. I like the Atlanta. I like Houston, and then I like Baltimore, and then both sides of the Mets and Milwaukee would be next for me. But I mean, look, you're going to be playing some of everybody. That's why I have some 3-3-2 stacks and things like that. And 2-2s, like if you can get exposure to the 2 home runs that are hit today in your lineup, it doesn't have to be from the same game. You're gonna make money if there is only 2. But
meanwhile, what's pretty funny about yesterday, you asked how it went for me. For those of you that were here yesterday, you saw that when we were closing out, I had like 90% Mets. Remember that?
Mhm.
But I did said that I was going to be late swapping, and the late swapping got me off of the 90% Mets. That's the way it goes.
It's weird though, because I mean even the one that finished fourth for me in the perfect game, I ended up, it was like a 4-2-2 with Detroit, San Diego, and Milwaukee, and that was good enough. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a whole lot of craziness that went on. You kind of needed like if you had Turang and Tatis in your lineup, you were in pretty good shape. Basically, that's pretty much all you needed. They scored more than all the other guys did combined. And I sort of treated this a little bit like that today, which is why I wanted to be so overweight. The most likely guys that hit home runs or stolen bases, like Ozuna, Bobby Witt, Tatis, and then Lindor. I threw Alonso in there as one of my, make sure I have 25% of them. And I threw Jackson Chourio from Milwaukee in there as well. As my, make sure I get 20 some odd percent of this guy. Yeah, this was some old builds that I ran earlier, but this was some of what I was getting to. And you can see that just well overweight the top players I mentioned. Oh, so I threw Salvador Perez in because I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that he and Rushman are the best catchers on the board, and Salvador Perez is, you know, I don't know. I wanted to get to my hitters, and I just loved this exposure on Albies, nobody playing this. So I ended up getting to a lot more Atlanta than I initially thought. And honestly, I feel of all these pitchers on this slate, I think Musgrove is kind of the one I don't mind. I know he's been good, really good, but historically, he's the one I actually do try to pick on occasionally. And the fact that Atlanta's not getting any love today feels like maybe a little disrespectful.
Yeah, I'm currently in my Sims. My top 4 stacks are Atlanta, Milwaukee, Mets, and then and then the Tigers. Let's go.
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, by the way, the Tigers could have scored a lot more runs yesterday. They were.
Oh my God! No kidding, huh?
Yeah, they were. Every ball was hit either hard right at somebody, or it was just all a smash single that anything could happen. But too bad for my guy Jason Hayward. It's really sad when we cut a guy, and then of course he goes off and he's going crazy in Houston. If he had a double to win the game right there, which it looked like it was going to happen because he smashed that ball.
Oh, he smoked that ball, huh?
It was like one of the hardest hit balls of the day. If that thing gets through, then they win the game. And the Dodgers, it's all the stories is the Dodgers let him go and Houston took advantage and all this stuff. I'm happy I don't have to hear about it for today. They did, of course, put him in the lineup against a lefty today, but I don't know if the lefty will even make it down to him.
And listen, you know me, I'm not about narrative and whatever it is and teams of destiny, but you just gotta feel these Tigers, huh?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, if there's any team other than, I still want to see the Dodgers play the Yankees the most, but if there's any other team that I want to see,
I've got four roots. I mean, I got Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, and the Royals.
Oh yeah, and the Royals are your bet from that would be the kind of the most fun, because I don't think a whole lot of people made that bet.
Yep.
But yeah, this ownership on the Braves, kind of on San Diego too, feels like weird to me. I don't know why nobody wants to play these. I understand that Fried's hard, but I don't know. So that's partly why I like them so much. But you have everybody on both sides projected under 10%. I doubt that actually happens, but that feels like something we should be taking advantage of. And for what it's worth, it's like better hitting weather right now in San Diego than it was most of the season. So I like getting overweight that game. Oh man, how about the one that Olsen hit to the wall? That's when I got scared for a minute.
Oh my God!
But I also knew I had to fade that pitcher striking out the side. So it was like
that was the not Christopher Morel. What was that guy's name?
It was Olsen who hit it.
I'll see you later, Wendy.
It was Olsen who hit it, but then Profar I think made the catch.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a fun day, and look, this is sort of I did all the showdown stuff as well, and some of the other things that I found, I guess just going through my things. I was looking at, this is, again, I'm always can change anything, but I just go into my showdowns for each slate here. So and I did the night slate too. Wow. The Houston Detroit game, Tyler Sweeney ended up being a captain for me mostly. He's batting 8th. I just think the kid's got incredible power, and it all takes is one. who was my other ones? The KC Baltimore game. I just thought, like, I don't like Flynn as much on the main slate, but I thought I would take a stab with him a lot more in the showdown, just because I didn't want to have no exposure, because normally I would be playing him in this matchup. It's just my fear of them being down 1-0. And then the Mets, and I went crazy a little bit with the Mets in Milwaukee today. My highest owned player is Sal Frelick, and it's partly because it allows you to get everything else in. But again, guy who only takes all it takes is one. Other than that, Rhys Hoskins and Alonso were my MVP mostly. As much as, look, I kind of like Manaea today too, but they're a little worried if there's one game that's like meant to go nuts that I think people are going to play like it did because it happened yesterday. I think that's going to be the game they go nuts on, that people try to really stack. And then in the showdown for the other side, Urshela lets you get everything in. Solano are the cheap ones. And then I would just make sure to try to captain either one of the pitchers, Tatis, Machado, or Laureano. Those would be my main ones. Oh, and Ozuna. I guess I have 8 of them. All right. What else do we have here to go through? I kind of want to rerun my builds, but I get nervous because I kind of liked what I had, but then there's a few things that I really wanted. My big notes are to get more Baltimore and to get more Lugo, and maybe less of the Manaea and less of Fried. Manaea. I'll tell you one thing about some of these teams that I realized that you sort of realize why they're there. I watched a lot of the games yesterday, which I don't usually do. The Milwaukee team is such a good, like, defensive team, and I thought San Diego too. Like, and they played good situational baseball. Milwaukee, look, they couldn't get the Mets out for 2 innings. That's why they lost the game. But I actually thought I really like the way their team is built for a postseason run. It's going to be hard to make a run when you're down 1-0. You got to win basically 5 of the next 8 games to advance.
Yep.
All right. What else is here? We don't have the later games yet. They do have a nice little like night slate or whatever, because those games are a little bit separate. You should have a little bit of time to substitute also after the Kansas City Baltimore game. The games are actually spaced out nicely today. There's not going to be as much overlap except for the last 2 games. I think they changed one time a little. Oh, maybe they didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the same. I thought the Mets and Milwaukee started earlier yesterday. I think it did. All right. Any other thoughts and questions, guys, that we want to go through?
Hold on 1 second. Hey, I'm on a call. I'll be off in like 5 minutes. What do you need? Hello? Hey, I'm on a call. I'll be off like 5 minutes. What do you need? Okay.
Hey. Yeah, we can probably get out of here pretty soon. I think we're answering most of the stuff. We'll be in the Discord, guys. Make sure that you get on in there. I know that there was a couple people had trouble with it, but we think we didn't see any problems, so you should be able to get it. It's just if you cancel an account and then resubscribe, that's some people didn't look at the rules sent, I guess. But yeah, we should be pretty good to go.
Yep.
All right, Cheats. Well, good luck today, man. And then tomorrow we've got some football. We've got some.
We got all kinds of stuff. I'll do a golf thing later if you want.
Yeah, I'll try to. I'm going to meet my.
Worst case, I'm going to do it. Worst case, I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay, all right. I'll try. If you just let me know if you don't mind when you're going to do it. I should be around, but I just might be with my grandfather. We're going to lunch, and then we're going to go to his art gallery and hang out for a little bit.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, have a good night and good luck to everybody today. Let's have a good one.